Right? That's how his attitude is. Actually, we have just 2 paragraphs left to finish this. Okay. Actually, he said that my son has many varieties of names according to his different qualities and activities. And Bhattacharya assured me that this boy would be all auspicious for my family and that he would be able to give transcendental blissful pleasure to all the cowherd men and cows in Vrindavan. Even though we would be put into various kinds of difficulties, by the grace of this boy, we would be very easily freed from them. This is an important point for us. That when you remember Krishna, there is no difficulty. The difficulty only is when I forget Krishna. And this unfortunately happens too often. But this is the purpose of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is why Srila Prabhupada has come to the West and taken all this trouble to help us to remember Krishna. If I remember Krishna, all problems are removed. He also said that formerly, this boy saved the world from an unregulated condition, and he saved all honest men from the hands of the dishonest thieves. He also said that any fortunate man, here is the blessing that Nanda Maharaj is giving. Garga Muni is giving, but Nanda Maharaj is giving to us, that Srila Prabhupada is passing down to us. Okay? Note this sentence. He also said that any fortunate man who becomes attached to this boy, Krishna, is never vanquished or defeated by his enemy. What is our enemy? Our forgetfulness of Krishna is our enemy. Maya is our friend. She's kicking us in the backside every time we forget Krishna. Right? Maya is a great, otherwise we would just forget and remain forgotten. Right? But very important. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee is never vanquished. Right? So this is very important. On the whole, he's exactly like Lord Vishnu. There you go. He's exactly like Lord Vishnu, who always takes the sides of the demigods, who are consequently never defeated by the demons. Gargacharya thus concluded that my child would grow to be exactly like Vishnu in transcendental beauty, qualification, activities, influence, and opulence, and so we should not be very astonished to see his wonderful activities. After telling me this, Gargacharya returned home, and since then we have been continually seeing the wonderful activities of this child. According to the version of Gargacharya, I consider that he must be Narayan himself, or maybe, here is again Nanda Maharaj's realization coming in, or maybe a plenary portion of Narayan. He does not understand that Krishna is the person whose plenary portion is Narayan. And he says, maybe he's a plenary portion of Narayan. Either he's Narayan or he's plenary portion of Narayan. It's so sweet, they're so simple-hearted, these residents of Vrindavan. When all the cowherd men had very attentively heard the statements of Gargacharya to Nanda Maharaj, they better appreciated the wonderful activities of Krishna and became very jubilant and satisfied. They began to praise Nanda Maharaj because by consulting him, their doubts about Krishna were clear. They said, let Krishna, who is so kind, beautiful and merciful, protect us. When angry Indra sent torrents of rain, accompanied by showers of ice blocks and high wind, Krishna immediately took compassion upon us and saved us and our families, cows and valuable possessions by picking up Govardhan hill, just as a child picks up a mushroom. He saved us so wonderfully. May He continue to glance mercifully over us and our cows. May we live peacefully under the protection of wonderful Krishna. Of who? Wonderful Krishna. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 26th chapter of Krishna, Wonderful Krishna. We are almost out of time, but I see 1 minute there. Does anybody have a question? Any comment? Yes, Prabhu.
What exactly is the definition of plenary portion?
Plenary portion means, Srila Prabhupada explains this in terms of a parliament. Like you have a parliament, which is a full house of all the elected representatives of a country, right? So sometimes, let's say there are 500 people in the parliament, for example, right? So if there are 500 people in the parliament, not all 500 people can attend every meeting on every topic, right? Isn't it? So they make a parliamentary committee to discuss a particular thing. Suppose they want to discuss, I don't know, some war going on somewhere. Then maybe they will pick 20 people from that 500 people. They will each party and everybody, all the leaders will say, it's my representative to discuss this topic. And then they will meet and they will present a report and a conclusion will be presented to the full parliament, which will be accepted as if all 500 people did it. Right? So in other words, when we say that Narayan is an expansion of Krishna, it is not to be understood that Narayan is any less than Krishna. Plenary means full power is there. Like Deepa Chire Vahidashandar Amapyupetya Deepayate Vivritahetu Samana Dharma Yastadrige Vahicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindamari Purusham Namaham Bhajami. Once you light the lamps, like we will light the lamps, which lamp lit which lamp, it won't even make a difference because all the lamps have equal brightness. Right? So similarly, we know that Krishna has certain special qualities that the other expansions don't have. But Krishna can manifest himself through those expansions. Like for example, in Krishna Leela, you know that Krishna hid himself from the gopis just before the Ras Leela. He hid himself from the gopis. And the gopis were searching for him. And the intense searching for Krishna was so heartbreaking that Krishna could not resist appearing first as Narayan in the forest. It's there in the Krishna book. How Krishna appeared as Narayan. And then the gopis were not interested in Narayan. Though Narayan was in front of them, right? Every other living entity would be crazy to see Narayan in front of them. Like they would go completely berserk. But they were so intensely searching for Krishna that Krishna could not hold his Narayan form. He could not hold it. Krishna manifested. So like that, any form of Krishna can manifest any form of Krishna according to his desire. And according to the intensity of the love of the devotees. So we know in the Mahaprakash Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested all the different forms of the Lord according to the devotees' feeling of attraction. He showed himself in Narasimha, Varaha, Vaman, and he showed every single incarnation. As Lord Ramchandra, every single incarnation he showed, right? That was according to the devotees who were present there. So similarly, that's what plenary means. That it's full power. Thank you.
Prabhu, there's one more question, but I don't think we'll have time. But later I can come back to you and ask.
We have 2 minutes.
Prabhu, that story about how Govardhan is becoming, like how there was this rishi who was wanting this. Do you know that story, Prabhu? I never forget. How that he placed the mountain down, then he was not supposed to do. Can you kind of refresh my memory?
It's actually very similar to the deity of Ranganatha Swami.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. So essentially, Govardhan wants to be wherever Krishna's pastimes are going to be manifested. So for example, let's say Krishna is going to appear on a particular planet. Then all of Krishna's places of pastime, all of Krishna's associates, all of Krishna's paraphernalia, entourage, everything manifests there in time for Krishna to have his pastime. It's like, let's say we are all part of a drama troupe, right? So, and then there is some superstar among the drama troupe, right, who is coming. Superstar just comes, performs their 5-minute role and goes, right? But before that, the cast is there and they have set up everything. They have set up the stage perfectly well. They have decorated everything. All the people are playing their roles. The superstar is coming, playing their role and going, right? Whether he or she, whatever it might be, right? So it's just similar to that. When Giri Govardhan was a little boy, mountain boy, he was very attractive, and his descriptions are given how his hills were flowing constantly with water, how there were beautiful trees and chirping birds and beautiful breezes blowing on Govardhan. So I must admit I have forgotten the details right now at this moment, but there's this rishi who wanted to meditate, who wanted an ashram, and he said, my ashram would be perfect in Govardhan. So he asked his father for Govardhan, parted with him unwillingly, and then there was this condition placed that he cannot, wherever he places me down will be the place where I will be. So then the Rishi, who then cursed that he will shrink by one mustard seed water every day, was going somewhere, and Rishi wanted to take him to a place where he wanted to meditate. But Govardhan wanted to be in the place where Radha Krishna will come. So he just used that as an excuse, made him get a nature's call. And he made him get a nature's call, and Rishi placed him down, and Govardhan refused to move. And you can see how, like, the whole thing, you can't make this stuff up. Like it's so perfectly aligned. Like we see that any great movie or any great story or any great novel or anything that you might read, after reading it maybe one time or two times maybe, you will find all the flaws in this. If this was the case, then why she did not do this, or she did not do this, or he did not understand this, or whatever. But we see that we cannot find such flaws in Krishna's pastime. So Govardhan settled there, and he refused to move. So the lesson there for us is that in this particular case, this Rishi was acting as an agent of Krishna, instrument of Krishna. But the lesson is for us to ask, how can I serve you? Instead of, I want to serve you in this way. So it's like the word kinkara is used in Sanskrit. Kinkara means kim, what? Kara, do. What shall I do? What shall I do? Whatever you want me to do, I will do. Right? So similarly, like when we come to the temple or when we come into our situations, we had a situation recently when one devotee hurt their back, recently. And this person was not supposed to be, he carried all the groceries by himself that was delivered because it would get spoiled. It was left outside. And other devotees were asked, and some devotees said, this is not my service. What we can understand from that pastime is that the Rishi wanted to take Govardhan to his meditation place. Instead of that, in that case it was a Leela, but in our case we should be like, my dear Giriraj Govardhan, okay, what can I do for you? How can I assist you? You please inspire me like that. So I'm pretty sure I'll find out the
I'm not
exact.
sure if it was Agastya Rishi.
I will find out and let you know.
Agastya Muni?
Pulasthya.
Pulastya Muni?
I will find out more details.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you, Mata.
Thank you.
गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।